Have you heard about the Chernobyl disaster? The nuclear meltdown in Ukraine that became one of the worst disasters in history? But what about the one in Brazil? Have you ever heard of the cesium accident in Goiânia? My name is Leroy, and today I'm going to tell you a story that sounds like something straight out of a movie, but it actually happened. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe to help the channel keep bringing you stories like this. It was September 13th, 1987. The city of Goiânia was calm, just another normal week. People going to work, kids playing outside, businesses open like any other day. No one had any idea how that week was going to end. And the scariest part? It didn't come from a nuclear power plant. It wasn't a bomb. It wasn't war. It came from an abandoned piece of equipment. What was that equipment? Years earlier, a radiotherapy clinic had left behind a machine used for cancer treatment. The building was abandoned because of a legal dispute, and the device stayed there, forgotten. Inside that machine was a capsule containing cesium-137, a highly radioactive material. So what did that machine actually do? It was used in radiation therapy. Basically, it emitted controlled radiation to destroy cancer cells. Radiation damages the DNA inside cells, and because cancer cells divide quickly and are more vulnerable in that process, they end up dying. The problem is that same radiation outside a controlled medical setting also destroys healthy cells. In a hospital, you need shielding, monitoring, trained professionals. Abandoned in an open building, it becomes an invisible bomb. The break-in. Two men broke into the abandoned building looking for scrap metal they could sell. They found the heavy machine and figured it might be worth some cash. They forced it open, dismantled parts of it, and took them to a local junkyard. That's where everything started. The junkyard owner got curious and began messing with the device. Eventually, he managed to open the capsule. Inside, there was a bluish powder. And here's the chilling detail. The material glowed in the dark. It looked beautiful, different, almost magical. Without knowing the danger, he showed it to family and friends. Some people rubbed the powder on their skin. Others took some home. Kids played with it. It was pure radiation, spreading through the city. The first symptoms. A few days later, the symptoms began: nausea, vomiting, dizziness, diarrhea, burns on the skin. But no one understood what was happening. It felt like a bad stomach virus, food poisoning, anything but radiation exposure. People went to the hospital and were sent back home. Meanwhile, the powder kept circulating. The discovery, that's when the junkyard owner's wife realized something was seriously wrong. She placed part of the material in a plastic bag and took it to the local health authorities. There, a physicist immediately recognized the radiation warning symbol and understood the severity of the situation. Goiânia was contaminated. From that point on, it turned into a full-scale emergency operation. Entire areas of the city were sealed off, homes were evacuated, people were screened with radiation detectors. Anyone contaminated was taken in for treatment. The little girl who became the symbol among the victims was a 6-year-old girl, Laide das Neves Ferreira. She had played with the glowing powder, rubbed it on her body, showed it to her mother. Laide developed severe symptoms. Her condition worsened rapidly. She suffered internal burns, hair loss, and organ failure. After days in intensive care, she didn't survive. Her funeral was marked by fear and misinformation. Many people were afraid of contamination. Even though her body had been safely prepared and sealed, her death became the most heartbreaking symbol of the disaster. How many people were affected? In total, hundreds of people were contaminated at some level. More than 200 had significant radiation exposure. 4 people died directly from radiation sickness. Thousands had to go through screening. Houses were demolished. Tons of contaminated debris were buried in controlled storage facilities. Goiânia was never the same again. What about today? Today, the Goiânia accident is considered the worst radiological disaster in an urban area in history. The city has long since returned to normal life, but the scars remain for those who lived through it. Survivors faced long-term physical and psychological consequences. Many fought for years for proper recognition and compensation. The tragedy led to major changes across Brazil. Regulations on radioactive materials became much stricter. Clinics and hospitals now face tighter inspections and control. It was a disaster caused not by war, but by neglect, abandonment, and lack of oversight. The Goiânia accident shows that danger doesn't always come from massive explosions or nuclear power plants like Chernobyl. Sometimes it's sitting in an abandoned building, silent, invisible, waiting for someone to mess with something they don't understand. If you'd never heard this story before, now you know. Brazil had its own nuclear disaster. If this story hit you, share it with someone and drop a comment below. Had you ever heard about this before? I'm Leroy, and I'll see you in the next video.